In November 2013, public approval ratings of the U.S. Congress hit an all-time low. Only 9% of the American public said that our representatives were doing a good job. It was the first time in almost 4 decades of asking the question that the Gallup poll had dropped into single digits. By the following November, approval ratings had crawled back to 14%, yet on Election Day in 2014, 95% of the members of the U.S. House of Representatives were reelected. It was an off year for the U.S. Senate. Only 82% of those running were reelected. What accounts for this yawning disparity? Commentator Chris Cillizza gives the orthodox view. According to him, people hate Congress, but generally like their member of Congress. Supporters of this facile explanation are quick to point out that it's easy to hate an institution, but when you put a face to it, the hatred just melts away. Cillizza points out that 46% of those who responded to the poll actually approved of the job that their representative was doing, despite the fact that only 35% of those polled could actually name who their representative was. Supposedly, the better informed you are, the more likely you are to support your congressman. I would submit that something else is going on here. Out of 435 U.S. House races in the 2012 election, only 35 were considered competitive. That means that it was possible to predict with a high degree of accuracy who would win 400 out of 435 seats before Election Day. Writing in April 2017, more than 18 months before the 2018 election, an organization called Fair Vote was able to confidently predict the outcome of 368 out of 435 races based purely on incumbency. According to these numbers, 84% of U.S. House races are not competitive. It wasn't always this way. As recently as 1992, close to 25% of U.S. House races, 103 seats, were considered competitive. Framers of the Constitution anticipated a 50% turnover rate in the U.S. House after every election, and for the first 100 years or so, they weren't that far off. Turnover averaged 45% in the 1800s, with 15 elections breaking the 50% mark. However, House turnover hasn't cleared 50% since 1882. If you look at a chart, you can see the long-term upward trend. Between the end of the Civil War and the 1920s, re-election rates just go up, up, up. Re-election rates have rarely dipped below 80% since the 1940s, and there was even a stretch between 1996 and 2008 where the rates never dropped below 94%. Incidentally, those numbers are higher than the re-election rates seen in the Communist Party's Central Committee at the height of the Soviet Union. It's safe to say that for the last 50 years, 9 out of 10 representatives in the U.S. can keep their jobs without really trying. How is this possible? If you were to ask any American if they think 90% of Congress should keep their jobs, the answer would be a swift and definitive no. One major factor is, in a word, gerrymandering. What's happening, as one federal judge describes it, the fundamental principle of voters choosing their representatives has nearly vanished. Instead, representatives choose their voters. Gerrymandering is not new. The ink wasn't even dry on the Constitution in 1788 when Patrick Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death Henry had Virginia's legislature draw a district designed to force a showdown between future President James Madison and future President James Monroe. Gerrymandering is named for Madison's vice president, Elbridge Gerry, who in 1812 blatantly designed a Massachusetts district for himself so bizarrely shaped that it resembled a salamander. Hence, a new term was born, to gerrymander. Gerrymandering should first and foremost be recognized for what it is, a subversion of democracy. It is the process of redrawing electoral maps to preserve an elected representative's job security or to solidify a political party's grasp on power. Either way, it's a tactic designed to dilute the public's voting power so that parties and politicians can escape accountability. I plan to take a closer look at all that in the days ahead. In the meantime, please give a like, follow, favorite, and sign up for my free Substack. Let's make them pay.